All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is appeal number 916 on March 30th, 2026, and the start time of this is going to be 4:11 p.m. All right, so I'm just going to go through some information on this appeal. This is for 55 Arising Street. The owner is South Yard LLC. The town's valued this property at $249,000. The appellants are asking for that to be reduced to $225,000. And you're Peter?
Yes.
Okay. Are you an attorney, Peter?
No, I'm representing just a family ownership.
And you do you have an affidavit for that?
No, I mean I'm an owner of the.
You're an owner of the
South Yard.
Oh, okay. All right. If you're an owner, that's fine. All right. So here's if you would just then state your name and that you are an owner of 55 Arising Street, South Yard LLC. All right, and your name, please.
My name is Peter DiNardo, and South Yard LLC owns 55 Arising Street. I'm a beneficial owner of South Yard LLC.
Okay. All right. So if you would just sign your name here and then print below. All right, Mr. DiNardo, this will be your opportunity to provide testimony and evidence as to why you believe the market value of this property on October 1st, 2025 was $225,000, not what the town, the value assigned by the town. Market value is what the property most likely would have sold for on that date. And please try to be as concise as possible.
Okay. First and foremost, there's improvements suggested on this record, and there's no improvements on the property. It was demolished in 2002, so I'm not sure what the town is valuing in the way of improvements. Do you have any insight into that?
No, we don't set the value, we're just hearing the appeals.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so the property is adjacent to the former Miller Volkswagen, and which is also owned by South Yard. Unfortunately, that appeal is not in with this one. The environmental risk on that property is substantially outweighs any value to it. We couldn't sell that property at this point to anyone because there's EPA enforcement actions and DEP enforcement actions against it that we've been working on for 11 years. We spent in excess of $1.3 million on testing alone and still don't have an approved cleanup plan. Part of the analysis for the EPA cleanup plan is to submit more than 10 alternatives. One, the least being do nothing. The highest before the recent inflation was $40 million to clean it. So it's really, I consider the site one and of the same. This is connected to, I believe it's connected in an area, but there's wetlands in back. There's the Rooster River that floods, so the entire area is in the flood zone. However, the bigger negative is the environmental pollutants surrounding this property and the 355 Kings Highway property. And it's, as I said, it's PCBs, which is very dangerous, very dirty.
Okay. And do you have like some kind of documentation of those?
Well, I don't have the reports. I could submit something, I can actually, I don't know if I can refer the board to Mark Barnhart or Emmeline in zoning, or even the people in conservation who are all aware of the contamination on the site, because I've been in contact with them for several years on how to clean it and address it.
Who, just tell me those, so Mark
Barnhart,
Mm-hmm.
Emmeline, and she took over for Jim Wentz.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, the conservation director's name is escaping me.
Okay.
Do you know his name?
No, not off the top of my head.
The what is it, Tim Bishop?
Okay.
Tim Bishop. So 3 town officials, at least 3 town officials are very intimately familiar with the issues related to this site and the adjacent site.
Okay. All right. I mean, you have nothing from the state, though, that's telling you?
Well, you know, I have volumes of information related to how to clean, you know, our cleanup reports and testing logs.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you know, that information, I'm not sure that the BAA is, you know, handles or assesses that, but we could probably get a letter indicating, you know, some sort of summary, if that would help the BAA. You know, I may be able to do that. I didn't bring something like that. I just know the cost of the cleanup will likely outweigh the value. Just the testing we've done alone, plus whatever level of cleanup it is, you know, and then dealing with the property's flood zone status, you know, this is something I consider, you know, basically a negative. In fact, Mark Barnhart may help me apply for funds with the town to help get it cleaned up. It may exceed even, you know, what we're willing to do based on cost. We didn't bring the pollution there. We took it over. We thought it was going to be much more straightforward, and it turned into something, you know, it developed its own life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you said, why did you get involved? I mean, I asked myself the same, but I've never, you know, prior ownership made some mistakes and ended up in an enforcement situation, and they likely made the contamination worse. But that's what I have related to that. That's all I can say.
Okay. All right.
And the next one.
All right, well, just give me a second here. I'm just going to end the appeal here, so.
When do you decide these appeals?
Well, we have nearly 1,000 appeals, so we're going to be working all the way till May.
Right, okay.
So, yeah.
And then you have decisions after that?
No, we're almost done hearing appeals, but then we have to actually deliberate on them. So, you know, that will take a little bit, for sure. So I'm just going to end this, oh, actually, you know what, I'm sorry, oh, no, I did, actually, I didn't, I'm sorry. I just need to swear you in. If you put your right hand up, please. Sorry, I apologize, I should have done this right. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, that includes what you already testified to.
Of course.
All right, thank you very much. Apologize for not doing that.
No problem.
I think after 200 of these, I would have gotten it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to end this and then restart it, okay? Just because we want to. Okay, so this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment and Appeals. This is March 30th, 2026. I'm hearing Appeal 907, and the start time is 4:20. Okay, this is for 1883 Fairfield Beach Road. That's the property address. The owners of this property are Betty DiNardo and Salvatore DiNardo trustees. The town's valued this property at $3,832,612, and the appellants are asking for that to be reduced to $3 million. All right, so if you would just, so do you have an affidavit to
I'm the
represent?
beneficial owner of the trust that owns the house.
Okay, so then what I need you to do is to just state your name and again, the property address and that, what you say that you're a beneficial owner of the trust, please.
Okay,
All right.
My name is Peter DiNardo. I'm a beneficial owner of the trust that owns 1883 Fairfield Beach Road, Fairfield, Connecticut.
All right, so just remind you that you are still under oath, so just going to have you again sign prints, please. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so again, same thing, that this is your opportunity to provide testimony and evidence as to why you believe the market value of this property on October 1st, 2025 was $3 million and not the value assigned by the town. And again, market value is what this property most likely would have sold for on that date, right?
All right, so this property was built in middle 90s, early 90s, at a different flood elevation than the current standards. So, in my opinion, due to that fact and the fact that another property that we own at the beach was washed away during Sandy, there's a very high risk of ownership of a property that's going to sit within several feet lower than the current flood standards. Also, some of the adjacent properties or nearby adjacents with similar square footage have recently been valued by the town at substantially less on a per square footage basis. So I am requesting the reduction in value.
Okay. So you said this home was flooded in...
The adjacent home that my family also owns was condemned by the town due to flooding.
Okay.
This home did not take water during Sandy, but it's at an elevation where it wouldn't be built today. It's not really safe. It also, it's very difficult and very expensive to obtain adequate insurance on the house. It's also built substantially out of wood, maybe self-inflicted, but the maintenance fees for the house are extraordinary because it has wooden windows instead of clad windows. It's got a wooden roof. Everything you shouldn't use at the beach. Now we know. So, and based on the fact that several of the adjacents on the road, I believe 1871, similar size square footage. I believe that's in the high $2 to low $3 million range, and that's one lot away. So based on that, that's my question. Is the board doing any reductions of properties in excess of $1 million?
Are we? Well, we haven't determined that.
But no, sometimes the board hears the appeal, but then transfers it, they don't decide because of anything over $1 million.
No, so for commercial real estate, if it's assessed over $1 million, we cannot do it.
Okay, that's my confusion. This is not work.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to add?
No, we are finished with that one.
All right, thank you. All right, we have this appeal now. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 917. and the start time of this appeal is 4:26 p.m. The property address is 321 Berwick Avenue. The owner is Berwick Associates LLC. The town's valued this property at $388,600, and the appellants are asking that it be reduced to $200,000. Okay. All right, so Mr. DiNardo, again, just state your name, and are you an owner? I'm assuming you're beneficial owner of Berwick Associates LLC. Is that what you're? All right,
So this is Peter DiNardo. I'm a beneficial owner of the trust that owns Berwick Associates LLC, and I'm here to speak to the value of the lot. The lot is a.
All right, so that just state the address 320 Berwick.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I did. And I'm here to discuss 320 Berwick Avenue.
Sure. All right, and I just need you to sign again. Just remember that you are under oath still. All right, just give me 1 second here. All right. Again, this is your time to provide testimony evidence as to why you believe the market value of this property on October 1st, 2025 was $200,000, not the value assigned by the town. And again, market value is what the property most likely would have sold for on that date, all right?
Understood. So the property was previously valued at, under $200,000. It's a 5,000 square foot lot in a Residence C zone. There are not many vacant lots in that zone. However, homes in that zone don't really sell for much more than mid-4s to 500,000 with a home on it. And today, to build a home in that area, the construction costs are so high. If someone were to pay $400,000 to buy a lot like this, or $380,000 to $8,000 to buy the lot, and then pay several $100s a square foot to build, and for argument's sake, $500,000 to build, it doesn't support an $800,000 or $900,000, $1 million value in the Residence C zone. If you could buy a comparable square footage house for $500,000, between mid-4s and mid-5s, because, basically it's tied to cost. So the land value, in my opinion, is lower than $200,000, but since we stated $200,000, we're willing to accept it, but there's been no comp of a vacant parcel.
Okay.
There are home comps, that's it.
Okay.
My hope is that board members are familiar with all these neighborhoods, and if there's additional needed information, it could be brought. However, I think this is one that should be well known and stated.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add?
That's
all right. So let me just explain to you the process. So, like I said, we have a huge number of appeals. We are finishing up our hearings, but then we have to deliberate. I'll bring your appeals to a majority of our board, and we'll deliberate on that appeal. They have access to all of the information that I have access to, and we'll make a decision within 7 days of us making that decision. You'll get a notice in the mail and by email that of our decision, and you can, if we do offer any type of relief, you would not be able to come back until the next revaluation in 5 years. If we don't offer relief, if we deny your appeal, then you can come back and appeal again next year. And
or file an appeal to the Superior Court.
Yeah, or file to the Superior Court, exactly. So, all right?
Okay.
So, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. It's March 30th, 2026. This is Appeal 196, and the start time is 5:09 p.m. All right. Let me just go through some information. This is for the property address of 136 Fairfield Woods Road. The owner of this property is Rostro Inc., Incorporated. The town's valued this property at $1,046,600, and they're asking that to be reduced to $676,000. All right, and August, can you just do me a favor, and what was your last name again?
Horning.
Say it again for me.
Sorry, Horning.
Just spell it for me.
Hoerning.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. And so you have an affidavit in, right, for this? All right. So would you just state your name and then the property address, and that you are representing the owners, Rostro Inc.?
Yes. So my name is August Horning. I'm representing the owner, Rostro Inc., at property address 136 Fairfield Woods Road.
Okay. Thank you. And, okay, so this is your opportunity now to provide evidence and testimony as to why you believe this property was on October 1st, 2025, was really, the value really was $676,000 and not what the town assigned. So please go ahead.
Yes, so this is a 1950 built office building. There's roughly 5,049 square feet of rentable area in the building. So the way I approached this was I looked at it via through an income approach analysis. That's because that's how most for these types of commercial properties, most buyers, sellers will look at it for its income producing capabilities. And so in looking at it that way, I ran it via the income approach. And so what I did was, with there being 5,049 square feet of rentable area, I applied what I consider a market rental rate of $24 a square foot. And then I gave it 10% for vacancy and credit loss. And then I applied a 35% expense ratio. And then I used a cap rate. I used a base cap rate of 8.5%, and then I did load that with the effective tax rate of an estimated 1.99% effective rate. So with both those components in, my cap rate was 10.49. And so with my NOI being $70,888, once capitalized, it comes out to $676,000, or roughly $134 a square foot. I have a lot of rental comps to kind of support that $24 a square foot rental rate.
Okay.
And then as well as some sales of some similar office buildings in Fairfield. I mean, I have a sale at 53 Unquoa Place. I think I'm saying that right.
Oh, well, yep.
Okay. That was an 8,800 square foot office building that sold for $810,000, which is about $91 a square foot. I think that's pretty comparable to this building. And so that's kind of all I have to present on this one. So
okay.
It's just a basic income approach.
Okay. And so do you have some kind of documentation that you provided or were going to provide to the office?
So I have copies of all of my workups for each of the ones we're going to talk about.
Okay.
It say pretty much exactly what I'm saying now. I try to make it so that everything I have to say is in my packet. So everything that I said, the pro forma and the comps and whatnot, I have and I can send. So if you let me know where I can send those, I can send those, and that could be backup for all of them.
Okay, yeah. So just, I mean, it's going to be the assessor's office. Let me see what they have for an address to send stuff to.
Well, I think I have it. Because I think my emails were with, I would probably send it to, there's a assessors at, What was this address? I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that's,
Assessor at Fairfield.
Yes.
CT.org.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
right. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, after the call, I can send everything that way.
Okay, that'd be great, yep, thanks. And then we'll go into, you know, the file for
Next
each
one?
one of these, okay? So, all right, let me just
Okay,
get to the
all right.
next, let me just get to the next one here, all right. Just do that again. This is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 200, and the start time is 5:15 p.m. This property address is 801 Post Road. The owner is Mulberry Management Group, LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,021,600, and the appellants are asking this to be reduced at $343,000. All right, and I have August Horning on the phone here. Okay, Mr. Horning, actually I didn't do this last time, but we're going to do it this time. All right, I need you to just state your name and that you're representing Mulberry Management, that you have an affidavit to that, all right?
Okay. Yes, my name is August Horning. I represent the owner, Mulberry Management Group, LLC, for their property at 801 Post Road.
Okay, and then just, August, we didn't do this last time, but do you want me to do it this time? So just please, let me just swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. So, and you'll just remain under oath throughout this here, okay? So let me, all right, so this is Field 200, all right, so go ahead.
Yeah, so this is 801 Post Road. So this parcel is kind of a unique one. It is a small parcel that was originally improved with a 19 what date was this thing built? It was property was improved with a 1960 built auto service building. The building sat vacant. It was unused as an auto repair site for a long time until purchased by before purchased in 2019 for $840,000. I think there's plans to convert the body shop into a restaurant. I don't believe it is open and operating as a restaurant. I mean, they do have to do quite a bit of work to convert a building of this type into a restaurant. But the way my analysis looks at it is I assumed that the improvements add very little value to the parcel because they had sat vacant for so long, and would require heavy rehab and renovation to turn into something rentable and usable, like a restaurant. And so I was kind of looking at it from the same way that I would look at vacant land parcels.
Sure.
Or with parcels that have improvements but add minimal value, which I have some sales comps at 238 Commerce Drive in Fairfield was sold in 2022 for $285,000. 143 Tungus Hill Road in Fairfield sold for $200,000 in 2024. 705 Kings Highway sold in 2024 for $150,000. So I think these sales support a valuation that's lower than where the assessor's at. I'm at $343,000, which is about $212 a square foot based off the building that's in place now.
Okay. All right, so okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Let me just... Okay, so this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 201. The start time is 5:20 p.m. All right, this is for the property address 400 Post Road. The owner is Gateway Circle LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,071,700, and the appellants are asking this to be reduced to $744,000. All right, I have August Horning representing the appellants. All right. So, Mr. Horning, will you again just state your name that you're representing, Gateway Circle, and the property address of 400 Post Road?
Yes, my name is August Horning. I represent the property owner, Gateway Circle LLC, representing their property located at address 400 Post Road.
Okay, and just to remind you, you're still under oath, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Correct.
So, all right.
All right. So this is a 1962 built commercial office building. There's roughly 7,357 square feet of rentable space.
How much? Say that again for me. How much?
7,357.
Okay.
Rentable area. And I run this very similar to the same way that I did the office I had talked about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
This building's a little bit older, in worse shape, so I use $19 a square foot for the rent with $10 vacancy credit loss and then 35% expenses. I used a 9 cap. I added in the effective tax rate, so that came out to a fully loaded cap rate of 10.99. And so with my NOI being 1,773 capitalized, I come out to 744,000, which is $101 a square foot. So I have many of the same sales comps as I've done in other office, primarily the 53 Umpqua Place. Again, sold in 2023 for $810,000, which is $91 a square foot. I had 101, so I think that's a pretty comparable sale, and that's primarily what I'm hanging my hat on as far as sales comps to support my income value.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me move on.
All right.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 212, and the start time is 5:23 p.m. Okay, this property is 95 Old Post Road. The owner is Metro Holding Company, LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,300,600, and the appellants are asking that to be reduced to $1,013,000. Okay. I have August Horning appearing, and all right, so Mr. Horning, if you would just again state your name, the property address 95 Old Post Road, and that you are representing Metro Holding Company, LLC.
Yes, my name is August Horning. I'm representing the property owner, Metro Holding Company, LLC, for their property located at address 95 Old Post Road.
Okay, and just to remind you, you're still under oath. Okay. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, so this building had originally been improved with a very old and small barbershop. It was a 1955 built building. It was a barbershop. The owner bought this building in 2022 for $1,260,000. As of my notes indicate from the owner that as of March 11th of 2026 that building has been demolished. They will eventually redevelop it and build something new, but they won't start that until 2027 at the earliest. And so really what I'm looking at is the assessor's total value is $1,300,600. The improvement portion of that is $323,000. Given that the building was demolished, I think that amount should be deducted from the value, which makes it, I can do the math really quick, but that would make the value of the parcel worth $977,528. Because again, the building itself adds zero value to the parcel. It was demolished. It doesn't stand there anymore. I think it's fairly straightforward argument.
Okay.
So
So you want me to change the requested value then to $977,528?
if you could, yeah. I know I'm higher than that. I think I'm at $1,013,000.
Yeah.
That's probably because I did the workup before I knew that I probably did this before March 11th, before I knew that the building was torn down.
Sure.
And so it's torn down. I'll say too that if the assessor has every right to reassess the property once they're redeveloping it, and so if we remove the value of the improvements and lower it to the $977,000, if the owner actually does start construction in 2027, then the assessor in 2027 can start adding that value back in. And so, primarily we'd be talking about essentially reducing the value for 2 years versus the full 5 years of the cycle. So I don't think it's a crazy ask as far as value adjustment, but that's really what I have.
Okay. So can you just clarify for me? So March 11th was when the building was demolished, or that's when you learned that it was demolished?
So the client note I have said that the old building has been demolished as of March 11th.
Okay.
I guess I read that as it got demolished on March 11th.
Sure. Okay.
Although it could be a phrasing, like a technical phrasing difference.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. I can do research on that. So.
Yeah. And they might have filed a permit, like a demolition permit.
Right.
So there could be something like that in the assessor's office, but
right.
Because they would have known they were going to tear it down at some point.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else on that?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. This is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 213, and the start time is 5:29 p.m. All right. The property address is 163 Oldfield Road. The owners of this property are Phoenix Surgicals, LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,181,300, and the appellants are asking that to be reduced to $791,000. Okay, I have August Horning representing, and all right. So, Mr. Horning, if you would just state your name, that you're representing Phoenix Surgicals for 163 Oldfield Road.
Yeah, so my name is August Horning. I represent the owner of Phoenix Surgicals, LLC, for their property located at address 163 Oldfield Road.
Okay, and just to remind you that you're still on the road. All right. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a 1930 built office building, residential style office building, originally built as a home converted to office. It is, I believe this is owner occupied, but let me clarify that really quickly. Just give me 1 minute. No, I believe so. So not owner occupied. It is multi-tenanted by various tenants. So I ran again, an income approach. This is a little bit of a better finish. I think it's a better finish and better tenant mix. I think there's like a law firm in there versus some of the prior office buildings we had been discussed. So there's 3,326 square feet of leasable space. I ran that, pardon me, I ran that at $30 a square foot with 5% vacancy and 25% expenses. I used a 7% base cap, which loaded with the tax rate is 8.987. So with my $71,093 of NOI capitalized, that comes up to $791,000 a square foot, which is just under $238 a square foot. So sorry, $791,000 comes out to $238 a square foot. That value is kind of in between what they're actually getting. And what I mean by that is I have their year-end, their calendar year income and expense statements for the 2 years prior to the lien dates of 2024 and 2023. So my number represents kind of a blend of what they're actually getting capitalized. So I can, when I email these packets, it will include the income statements. I don't know if you want me to fully restate their NOIs, or the full breakdown, but their 2024 NOI, net of real estate taxes and depreciation and everything was $96,478. For 2023 it was $73,033. I'm at $71,000, so I'm roughly in line. I'm closer to 2023 than I am their 2024 value, but that's really what I'm working with on this one. So I do have sales costs and rent costs and all that in my packet that you'll eventually have when I send it over.
Okay.
But yeah, again, fairly straightforward. What I'm just leaning really on what they provided.
All right, great. Thanks. All right, let me. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 217, and the start time is 5:34 p.m. All right, this is, the property address is 449 Grassmere Avenue. The owners are Kimberly and Michael Slimak. The town's valued this property at $1,057,800, and they're asking that to be reduced to $931,000. All right, and I have August Horning representing them. Sorry. Okay. All right, so Mr. Horning, just again, you're going to state your name, that you are representing Michael and Kimberly Slimak for 449 Grassmere Avenue.
Yes, so my name is August Horning. I'm representing Michael and Kimberly Slimak and their property at 449 Grassmere Avenue.
Okay, thank you. All right, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a daycare facility. It operates as Pumpkin Preschool. I actually have 2 parcels included with this. I had done a hearing on the other parcel. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller it's 45 Eastbourne. It's about a $40,000 square foot land parcel. Mm-hmm. It's just 5 parking spots and like a playground, like a
right. Yeah. Actually, I did that appeal with you. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you said that was 40 Eastbourne.
45 Eastbourne. Yeah.
45 Eastbourne. Okay. All right. Thanks. All right.
And so, so this is a daycare facility. I have it as 4,999 square feet of rentable space. I ran that at $17 a square foot, triple net. So that would, the tenant would pay all expenses associated with the property. 5% vacancy, 10% expenses, with a 7.5 base cap. Because because I ran this triple net and the tenant would pay the taxes, I only partially loaded it, so the owner would pay, in theory, the 5% vacant space and the 5% percentage of the taxes. So on a 7.599 tax rate, which brings me to a value of $956,000, which is roughly $191 a square foot. So it's I have rental comps of some other, sales comps and rent comps of other daycare facilities. It looks like some of them are not. It'll close to Fairfield. It's kind of tricky looking at a daycare because, in theory, a lot of different types of buildings could be turned into daycares, and daycares can be turned into a lot of types of buildings. So you can look at it from grabbing maybe some retail stuff or office stuff that isn't quite comparable, where you can look at other daycares. In my packet, I included some other daycares, but they're daycares from all over the state. But they do support my 191 square foot value. Again, I do note that because the whole exercise of this is what a buyer and seller what value they would come to in a transaction, I would say that a typical buyer of this building would be really, it's limited to another daycare unless somebody wanted to put a lot of extensive work into the property, which I think limits the buyer pool quite a bit. But yeah, so I think as is, that's where I'm at. So total value, I'm proposing $956,000.
All right, so 956,000, because this says, you have 931,000, so you want to increase that?
Yeah, and that's probably the amount left the land parcel. So because my 956,000 assumes that it's an economic unit with that adjacent land parcel.
Okay.
Because it's owned by the same building, and it's the parking and the playground.
Okay.
So it's kind of they should be looked at together.
Okay.
So I guess my total value for both parcels is $956,000.
Okay.
If you want to back out that one, you could do it. It kind of gets you to the same thing no matter what.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. So. All right. All set on that one?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, March 30th, 2026. This is appeal number 226, and the start time is 5:40 p.m. All right, this property is 1596 Post Road. The owner is Jordanopoulos, LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,256,100, and the appellants are asking that to be reduced to $900,000. Okay, I have August Horning representing the appellants. All right, so Mr. Horning, if you would just state your name and that you are representing Jordanopoulos LLC for 1596 Post Road.
Yes, so my name is August Horning. I represent the owner of the property, Jordanopoulos LLC, for the property at 1596 Post Road.
Okay, thank you. All right, so you can go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, so this is a 1973 built retail building. It is leased to Marathon Sports. They lease it. My packet includes their actual, so they lease it for $90,000 a year in rent. So the the tenants pay $9,000 a year. My income approach reflects that. That translates to roughly $34 a square foot that they're paying. I had a 5% vacancy and credit loss, and then 10% expenses because the tenant does pay all expenses, so the owner's only paying, a management fee. And I'm using a 7.75 base cap rate, which comes out to a value of $992,000, which is $370 a square foot. In addition to that, sorry, pardon me. In addition to that, I have an appraisal from November 2023 that values the property at $1,025,000. Despite that, the appraisal being, 2 years prior to the date of value, the base rent and everything in place at the building is still the same. It's the same tenant paying the same rent. And so I think they're a little bit higher than me because I think that they're maybe using lower expenses, but, whether it's my reconstruction of their income at $992,000 or the appraisals at $1,025,000, roughly based around the same thing. It's just extrapolating a value based off of the actual financial performance of the property. And so I think both serve as good evidence of value.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
No, that is it.
That's it, okay. All right, so thank you very much for presenting. We will be in touch with you once we have, our board has deliberated. I'll bring your petitions to a majority of our board, and we will deliberate and then come to a decision, and that decision will be provided to you within 7 days by letter and by email, I guess is how that's going to work. So yeah, please just get me that the backup for the files. All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send that over today.
Okay, great. All right, thanks, August. Appreciate your time.
All right, well, thank you.
Yep. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, March 30th, 2026, and I am ending this session at 5:53 p.m.